I want to give you 5 subtle signs that you might actually and factually be in a toxic relationship, but also how to break free of it. Now, I say subtle because it's usually the subtle signs that get us trapped or are the main pieces to why we look up one day and realize we're in a toxic relationship. Because I think anyone that overtly is just aware that, oh, this is toxic from the rip, more likely than not is not going to stay in that relationship from the beginning, right? Some people do, but that's less common. What's usually more likely is that it built to be this way over time. It started out feeling great and then it was seemed like it was the perfect relationship or just an awesome experience. And over time, you start realizing that you're slowly but surely not happy, right? You start realizing there's something missing, or you feel sad more often than you feel happy, or you're always feeling drained emotionally and can't pinpoint as to why or what have you, right? Until it gets to a boiling point to where it's very overt that your experience is nothing close to healthy and it's very poisonous, which is what toxic means. But also understand when I say how to break free, right? That doesn't necessarily just mean you having to leave, right? Maybe it is a matter of recognizing that you're in a situation and doing everything you need to do to get away from that relationship because, hey, if it is poisonous, you cannot stay in it. But breaking free also refers to breaking the pattern, right? Breaking that cycle and starting a new one with your partner because it's very, very possible that they're not aware of, their contribution or the things that they're doing that is causing a toxic experience for you, right? Because maybe they just grew up seeing and learning toxic behaviors themselves, or maybe they have some inner wounds that they thought they've healed from, but they haven't. And those are driving unhealthy actions in them, right? To where they're being very toxic in the relationship with you without realizing the magnitude of what their actions are causing impact wise. The first subtle toxic sign is constant joking criticism, where they're always making backhanded compliments or sarcastic remarks, right? About, your choices, maybe your ambitions, or even your appearance, right? To where they start disguising hurtful comments as humor, right? Now, you may see it as, oh, it's harmless, or it's just them, they like to be playful that way, or it's funny. And look, I understand humor like that to some degree, right? And it can be a playful thing and it can be lighthearted. But if it's a constant thing, they do it all the time. And over time, it becomes this almost indirect way of, calling you out on stuff or, putting you down in a way. It's really toxic because it can really start to chip away at your self-confidence, right? Your sense of self-esteem. Yeah, you on the surface thinking of it as being lighthearted and fun, which maybe it is in the general sense. But after a while, you start gathering a different energy out of that. And it can start to really chip on your self-confidence on a subconscious level, right? It's like subconsciously, you're hearing this type of narratives over and over again to where you start to internally adopt it somewhat, and it starts to make you second guess or question things, right? The more you hear the same jokes, you start saying, well, is there any truth behind that? Is there anything accurate to that? But you may not call it out to your partner because, again, it's all in fun and games. It's all lighthearted and just, yeah, enjoying each other and having some laughs, right? But slowly but surely, you're starting to build a negative self perspective internally for yourself. Now, the best way you're going to break free from this is to first recognize the patterns of what's going on. And let me say this too, by the way, as if these things truly do bother you. If you're extremely secure in yourself and your confidence in the things that they make these jokes about, and you're aware of that and they're aware of how confident you are and it genuinely is just joking comments, okay, then maybe no harm, no foul, right? You don't need to necessarily voice this. But if it seems awkward or it seems like inorganic and it's like they're always trying to do this, almost like they're really trying to make actual critical comments of you without this being overt, and they're trying to disguise it as just being human, right? And it really is, has negative intention behind it. Then now you have to be able to recognize these patterns and then set firm boundaries, meaning call out to your partner how you feel whenever they say these things, right? Let them know what it means to you when you hear it. Even, speak ahead of it. Don't assume that they're doing it for negative reason. Say, hey, I know you like to joke and play, and I respect that and I embrace that. But when you're saying XYZ, it just doesn't resonate with me so well. It doesn't sound humorous to me, right? Because it's no fun if they're the only person laughing at your expense all the time and you don't find it as funny, right? So call that out and let them know how you feel about it and ask them to respect how you feel and not continue to do that, right? Let them know what is okay for you joking wise and in this elements that are not. And after you let them know that, then it's very important that as time goes on, if they continue to do these said things again, now you have to let them know, all right, hey, I asked you not to do that. Here's what I'm going to do if you don't honor and respect the boundary I set, which may be disengaging in the conversation when you notice them start to laugh and so forth. Maybe you walk away, maybe say, hey, I'm going to leave or I'm going to go elsewhere. And if it keeps going to the point where they never stop or adjust it every time you check out of the conversation, then maybe you have to get to the step of walking away because you have to always hold self-respect for yourself. Second, the cycle of cold and sudden affection, where maybe your partner gives you the silent treatment often at times, or they're mostly emotionally withdrawn from you, right? Then all of a sudden it's followed by love bombing. They're all head over heels into you again. And it creates this confusing internal cycle for you to where it leaves you craving their affection. And because our brains are designed to give us answers, right? So your brain's always trying to figure out how to make sense of a situation, especially to bring you to a harmonious space to feel the way you want to feel. And so if one side of the experience is really, unpleasant and you don't like it, right? And the other side is everything you want to feel, then your brain's going to try to find out or figure out how to make sense of what you need to do to keep getting that experience that you want to have. And so if it's in a dynamic to where your partner is offering and taking away affection, you're going to start internally and subconsciously trying to figure out, how do I get this affection and this approval? Starts putting you into this like mission of trying to go earn their love in a way. And it creates a very unhealthy, toxic cycle, right? And this is a common experience that, anxiously attached people and avoidant attachment people fall into, right? Where the avoidant person is doing the push-pull method, if you will, that love bombing thing, this toxic tactic, right? Unhealthy practice. And the person that's more anxious, less secure in themselves, really starts to double down on that insecurity and starts trying to get this love out of them. Even someone that can be coming from a secure space can get sucked into this if they're not recognizing it is for, or not recognizing what it is for what it is. There we go. Mix my words a little bit, right? Which is a form of control, right? That's all it is. So if you're going to break free, you have to recognize it for what it is in layman's terms. Don't make it anything but. Don't try to confuse it. Don't add all this complexity to it. No, it's simple. If you have a healthy partner in your life, they don't go hiding cold left and right, right? There's more fluid communication. And if they're going to be cold, you're going to know why. And it'd be more clear as to what's going on. And there's more resolve there instead of them being like that. The next thing you know, there's all into you, right? That's unhealthy practices. So recognize the control manipulative tactic that it is. And the way you break free of it is you have to start placing your emotional security and dependence into other things, meaning you have to start relying on your own hobbies, your own personal interests, maybe close relationships to friends or family outside of your relationship to harness the nurture you want towards your emotional needs and take it more out of the bucket of your partner because they're not a healthy source of it right now. And what I'm really describing is you have to become more emotionally independent. Now, let me say this as well. If you get to a place to where you have to start pulling back some of your emotional dependence from your partner and be self-regulating in that. And let me also say this, by as a default, you should always want to champion for being emotionally independent. But we want to have emotional dependence in our partner. So, you should be self-sustaining on your own first, then you pour into them second. But if you get to a place where you're recognizing you have to pull back some of that dependence that you want to have outside of yourself in them to yourself or to friends or family, then you're also realizing that they're not the person for you. If you can't invest into them emotionally and feel safe to do so without feeling like you're going to be starved or deprived of it in one moment and then given it the next, right? And you go on this really unhealthy and anxiety driven journey, then you're learning that they're not the individual you probably should be with anyways. Third, underhanded guilt trips disguised as concern, where you may be going through something, or maybe you experience a challenging thing often, right? And because maybe they're frustrated and or exhausted with your challenging thing, they act like they're all concerned and say, well, hold on. Well, here you go again. Let's stop for a second. Let's make sure you're good, right? Where in a very exaggerated way, they act like they're here to support you, but you feel guilty for needing the support, right? They make you feel bad almost for they're showing up, right? They're saying the things. Oh, what do you need? You okay? I mean, are you good now? Right? Like, I mean, is that all you need? Or can we get back to the show now? I mean, is there any way else I can help you? I don't want you to be sad. So what can I do for you? Right? In these kind of like almost sarcastic ways, right? Of exaggeration, to where they're asking you what can they do, and maybe they're doing it, but you feel bad for even asking, or for even having the need in the first place. And it's a subconscious, toxic, manipulative way to get you to stop speaking up. Now, I'm not saying that's absolutely their intended goal, to make you not speak up, but their frustration and maybe them just not having the patience is what is causing that experience for you. And that's the outcome. That's the output that winds up coming from it. Right. And I say it's the toxic subtlety in it, because they may not be aware or have the intention to tell you not to speak up, but their intention is for you to stop bothering them, right? Or stop plaguing them with your thing, which, if you're going to have a healthy relationship with a healthy partner, where yes, it can be a drain if you always have problems and it seems like you're never happy, never good. At the same token, though, if your partner's going to be there with you, they should be trying to figure out how to help you resolve that, and maybe not have the need to have that issue again going forward, versus, making you feel bad that you do have it, to where you don't feel safe to open up and come to them for support, where that's the person you're supposed to go to whenever you need support from someone outside of yourself. So you break free of this by recognizing that concern should never come at the expense of your autonomy, right? You deserve to feel the way you feel and be supported by it, not to feel bad for it, right? So in that equation, what you have to practice doing is being more assertive, speaking up with more assertiveness, right? Be calm. Don't become irate, but be calm when you speak, but be confident in what you're saying and assertive about asking for what you need and what you require without guilt. Don't feel guilty ever for what you need. At the end of the day, either your partner is willing or able to offer what you need, or they cannot, but you're never wrong for what you need, and they're never wrong for either not wanting to give it to you or not. It's just a matter of what works for you and what does not. And so keep speaking up, right? Be assertive, but be calm, be loving when you do it, and don't feel guilty. And if your partner is unable or unwilling to start meeting those needs, or wanting to help towards meeting those needs and supporting you in them, then you distance yourself from that individual. You can't stay somewhere where your partner's not going to be a contribution to your needs. They're going to be more of a hindrance, or going to make you feel bad about what you need. That's someone that's not for you. Fourth is subtle isolation from your support networks, where it may seem small and innocent, acts or things that they say, but they try to slightly encourage you towards spending less and less time with people around you that you care about, to have all of your time, by saying things like, well, I miss you, or I never get to see you enough. And you're feeling like, well, man, I feel like we see each other a lot, or I feel like you see a lot of me. But you naturally may just think, oh, okay, well, they just really love me so much. And oh, wow, it's just, I feel so special that they cared as much about spending time with me, to where you overlook one moment, the second moment, the next time that you didn't go choose to see your family or go see your friends, in lieu of hanging out with them instead, or spending time with them instead, going their direction instead of the direction that you were initially going to go. And you look up over time and you realize you barely see the people that you care about most outside of them, right? That frequent, because you're always with them. And every time you think about going to go do that, they somehow slip some little way of making you feel like they're not getting enough of you, right? Or whenever you try to go see someone else, they have some great thing they wanted to do with you. Oh man, I was really looking forward to taking you to XYZ this weekend, right? I was really wanting to go there to this, maybe this retreat or whatever it is, or, wanting to go to this event that I booked. I got 2 tickets, right? Like, oh man, I was going to get 2 tickets and I didn't know. Well, okay, I guess you can go, but I'll just go by myself, or I'll find the things to where you start feeling bad or feeling like, oh, questioning. You're going to go spend time with other people that are a part of your life as well. That creates the full pie of you. See, this type of toxic sign starts stripping you away from the full roundedness to be a full, complete individual. And it starts to make your life lopsided and too heavily weighed on connection with your partner, right? We need independence as much as we need unity, right? In our relationships, to still be an individual coming to my relationship. So the best way you break free of this is never losing connection with your friends and family and other support systems that you value a lot. Make time for them and stick to fostering those relationships just as much as you do with your partner, right? Balance. Everything needs to have balance. And if they're not willing to embrace that balance, then they're showing you, hey, they're not for you. Because look, your partner may struggle with abandonment issues, which is usually where that type of sign is coming from. People don't typically just want to be manipulative and control you just because. It's usually out of an attempt to help nurture their own wounds. So maybe they struggle with abandonment and so forth. So you're helping them by creating healthy balance with them so you can still have a life outside of them so they can learn when you're not there how to self-regulate for themselves, right? It benefits everybody. And fifth, emotional dismissal behind a caring facade, meaning they seem really heartfelt and warm and like they're really there for you, really wanting to, support you, right? But in this caring way and delivery, they say things like, oh yeah, I hear you, but I really just think you're overreacting in this. Or, oh yeah, I understand. Well, look, let's just not even think about that, right? Just don't even focus on that, to where they try to get you to almost dismiss your own emotions and what you feel. And they dismiss it by not actually helping you, not validating it, right? Not validating the way you feel. They explain away or try to get you to look away or, tell you that what you're feeling is wrong without telling you it is wrong, right? In the most pleasant way they can. And you feel like you're being supported, but at the end of the conversations, you ultimately always feel like you're still misunderstood, or you still have anxiety carrying with you. You don't feel like it's been resolved. So you're like, they were there for me, but wow, you start maybe questioning if you're crazy or not for how you're feeling and all this stuff, to where it's more confusion happening at the end of them supporting you than you feeling more at peace, right? That's your big flag in sign. And ultimately, what this is a form of gaslighting, right? I know some of you might have thought, oh yeah, that's gaslighting. Yep, that's exactly what that is. And whether their intention is to try to gaslight you or not, that's the experience you're having. So if you're going to break free of this pattern, right, you have to first champion for your own emotions. You have to validate them. You have to tell them, no, this is what I feel. And I'm justified in the way I feel, because you can't be wrong for how you feel. And seek support of friends or family or people outside the relationship, right, that can help validate your emotions. And notice, I'm not saying go to people outside the relationship to tell them about how your partner didn't support you and they told you you're wrong for how you feel, so they can, it's like a bashing session against your partner, right? No, your relationship versus maybe the way you feel about something in particular, two different things. And if it is a situation of something that you feel a way about towards your partner, then talk through it with them and stand your ground on validating your emotions, because you're not wrong for how you feel. And if they don't start to embrace your emotions and start validating them with you, then now you're learning you may need to walk away. But before you get there, let them know, hey, no, this is how I feel, and I need you to be able to support my emotions. Right? Can you do that? Here's how you support my emotions, right? And if you can't do that, that's okay. I'm going to walk, but give them opportunity to make an adjustment if they care about you enough. But if they're not willing, then you got to go. So ultimately, you have to learn to trust your instincts and acknowledge what you're experiencing is the first step, right? And the first piece in trusting your instincts is, if it feels off, it's most likely off in some way. Because subtle toxic signs usually don't consciously register in your mind as such until you're at a heightened place of, anxiety, depression, sadness, feeling drained. And so when you're starting to feel these signals, your emotions are your body's signal system to you that you've wired to let you know when there's things that don't sit well with you and things that you do like. So if your instincts are saying something feels off, it's probably off. Acknowledge that and then try to put some frame to what is off, right? What do I feel is not resonating right? And then you have to start using your voice, speaking up for yourself, being more assertive, setting boundaries around things. You have to always protect your mental, physical, and emotional well-being. And you have to verbalize these things to your partner and give them opportunity to make adjustments first. And if they do not, then you have to leave second. But along the way, make sure you're also leaning into your support systems to make sure that you are being validated and that you have, support through the things that you're trying to be supported through. So you don't feel like you're always on an island by yourself and get trapped in this toxic loop that you can't break out of. And last, but most certainly not least, if you are having a hard time trying to catch these toxic signs, but you know you don't feel so great in a relationship, or you're having a hard time speaking up for yourself and being assertive and all of that, go get professional help. Do not sit in toxicity. Go to someone that can help teach you the tools for how to break free from it and to get the results you want so you have the healthy life that you deserve, right? And so if you want help with that from me, then email or DM me the word coaching and we will get to work as long as you're truly ready to put that work in. If you're not ready for one-on-one coaching or the time or the space, email or DM me the word revival to join my Relationship Revival Hub community, where you can learn the same things I teach my clients one-on-one at your own pace on your own time. Either way, do something to get in the race. Let's get it.